Yep, recording. Okay, here we go. Action sequence. Single hero is taking a risk at the time. I only need to handle that one risk. Risks are, let's see, these. Every time you roll a dice, it's a risk. Normal actions like tying your shoes, not risk. Risk would be parkour. Uh, Sometimes it would be trying to convince the angry mob to disband type stuff. Stuff where there is a downside if you fail at it, or you have the possibility of failing. An approach is how you choose to solve it. It's the skill and trait that you would like to use, and uh, you have to tell me what you plan to do, so that way I can tell you which skills and which traits you are using. So that way you can tell me if there's a different way you would want me to do it. Again, this is important right here. Why am I doing this? What do I want and how do I get it? Consequences for risks. Uh, Consequences are everything that can hurt or hinder you. Running across a burning room could catch on fire. You could get hit by burning beams, or secret identity if your disguise manages to catch fire types of things, if you had one. I described the situation. Uh, that would be, for example, like the storm is coming in. You got a bit, but it's not quite there yet. You take too long, you're going to end up fighting in a storm. There's not many people on the deck of this ship, but they are all tied, so you can't knock them off. Next, you tell me your approach. What are you hoping to accomplish and how? Don't just say, I want to swing my sword at my enemies. That's not something that I want to know, because that tells. Hello. Just recording the video bit. That tell the just going through risks and how they work right now as well. I just went through setting the stage. That's me describing the situation, and the uh, example I used is the ship. Storm's coming. Your opponents are tied to the deck, so you can't knock them off. There's not many of them either, so you can very easily overwhelm them with your numbers. They also didn't appear to be well armed, but you weren't quite sure. They were definitely armed, though. Next, you tell me your approach, the way you want to accomplish your goal. For example, taking over this ship. If you wanted to clear this deck, how did you want to clear it? Did you want to just have the crew rush out of the room, out of the hallways, and just start attacking? How did you want to approach the risk? After that, I tell you which combination of trait and skill to use. You add your trait rank and your skill rank for your risk pool. That's the amount of dice that you are going to roll. You may also get dice from other sources such as advantage. That is also when you tell me if I made a mistake or you want to slightly modify it to get a different type of approach. I will also at that moment tell you consequences and opportunities, why the action is a risk, the consequences of it, and the opportunities. This is just for risks. There's combat situations are a bit different as well. All risks have at least one consequence, and they may not have an opportunity. Opportunities would be grabbing intelligence while running through a burning building. If you end up with unused dice, I can buy them from you. For each die that I do buy, you gain 1 hero point and I gain 1 danger point. We will go through that stuff very shortly as well. The rolls and the raises. After you roll, you use your dice to create sets of 10. Make sure that you're using d10s when you roll. I'm going to very much highlight this area right here. From this area, you have a 10, a 7, 2 5s, and 2 2s. You can make 3 raises. This one over here, 8 4 3 3 2 1 1, just make 2. 8 plus 2, 4 plus 3 is 7. Add the other 3, that's another 10. That leaves 2 1s, or you could use 8 plus 1 plus 1. That leaves 2. You could sell the unused die to me and get your hero points, and I get my danger points. Another example, this last one, 10 plus 9 plus 9 plus 7. If you had enough ranks, four ranks in your skill, so let's say you had 4 ranks in athletics and 5 in brawn, you'd be rolling 9 die, but when you get a 15 or higher, you would get 2 raises instead of just the 1 that comes with making 10. You use your raises to take actions, overcome the consequences, or take advantage of opportunities. Inflict wounds on opponents, avoid wounds, which are considered consequences. On any given risk, you can spend your raises a number of ways. Single raise to take an action ensures that you do what you set out to do. Your hero succeeds. Raises spent to overcome the consequences reduce the side effects, collateral damage, and harm to you caused by the risk. Raises spent to take advantage of an opportunity mean your hero gains the benefit of whatever the opportunity offered, such as the intelligence on secret societies, let's say, that want to cause a world-ending disaster. Raises spent to inflict wound cause 1 wound per raise, spent to a character within reach of your hero. There is no actual movement stuff in the game. This is a lot more theater of the mind than D&D 5e or Pathfinder is. Improvising. You don't have to spend the raise only on your approach. If you want to take an action outside the scope of the skill or trait, for example, let's say you wanted to duel the pirate captain with your sword. You successfully start the duel, and you're fencing. You decide to draw your pistol and shoot him. That would be improvising. You spend an additional raise to shoot him, but you have successfully improvised and shot him. If you don't have a skill, you must spend an additional raise. For example, if you did not have aim when you decide to shoot the pirate captain, you would spend 3 raises instead of the 2. If you cannot make 1 raise on your roll, you don't fail. That could be arrival of a new villain or dramatic shift in the narrative. For example, the storm that was coming, and you guys decide to fight the pirate crew. If one of you could not make raises, then I would have had another ship arrive with more pirates. Your hero suffers any and all consequences and misses all the opportunities as well, meaning you would have gotten blown overboard. That doesn't mean the death of your character. You would have been along the side of the ship instead of being able to take part in the fight until the next round. Going to run through the risk example right here. Your hero runs through a burning room, and I tell you that it is a risk. The consequence is taking 2 wounds, but there is an opportunity to have a secret letter before it catches fire. You roll your die and come up with 2 raises. You use the first raise to take an action. You get across the room, no matter what harm you may take in the process. You can either use your second raise to negate the first wound, or grab the secret letter. But you didn't have the third raise. You have to make a choice and take at least 1 wound from the consequence. Talking about consequences now, I think about the circumstances of the risk and what makes them dangerous. Injury is a great go-to, but it isn't always the most appropriate consequence, such as getting blown overboard by wind. Oh, yeah, I'm here. Can you not hear me? Did I mute myself? And nope, I'm not. Sorry about that. I muted myself.
I know this.
Yeah, I'm just narrating to OBS about the stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I just. You can hear me twice? Hello? Oh. Okay. Uh. Ah. Hello. I can start again. Picking locks. For consequences. Someone on the other side of the door hears you, or it could be trapped. Or just because it's old and rusted, you may break your tools. Could be a fresh lock, though, in which case you could just break the lock and not be able to get in. Wanting to leap to another rooftop, you break through a thin roof. Arrows or bullets being fired at you, being noticed by guards. The wounds as consequence now. They're a shared consequence. Group risk with a consequence of 10 wounds can be overcome by any and all. The consequence is not fully overcome. Players not collectively spending enough raises to reduce the wounds to 0. All heroes are dealt the remaining wounds. Meaning I spread the wounds out among you. A hero who wishes to protect her friend can choose to take some or all of the wounds that would be applied to her ally, so long as the hero is in a position to help and spends one or more raises. So let's say that you are running across the burning room just because it's easy. Someone does not have enough raises to do anything except for make it across, but you have enough to protect yourself from the wounds. Oh, nope. Each hero takes 2 wounds. I don't spread it out. Everyone takes that much wounds. That many wounds. Opportunities. When thinking about opportunities, I have to think about the risk and what elements might be in the hero's favor. Typically, there's only one opportunity, but I might throw out 1 or 2 more if the circumstances permit. Picking the lock again. If I pick the lock, and you're back. And you're back.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm on the laptop now.
That's good.
I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, you didn't really need your character sheet. But opportunities, I can actually restart with what I was saying. Okay, so did the consequences, did opportunities. Okay. Creating opportunities. You can use your own raises to create opportunities for other heroes. Okay, you're back.
Yes, that's good.
Yep, you can use your raises to create opportunities for other heroes. Spend 1 raise to create an opportunity for another hero to use in this scene. Actually, hold on. Action, pick the lock. One of the guards in the room is an old trusted friend. there are 2 mounted pistols on the wall that could easily be stolen. And because this is the guard quarters, they've installed a poison needle. It can be very easily repurposed into a blowgun needle. Very easily. Almost like it was meant to be. The action you want to leap to that rooftop, running away from guards, is pretty standard. Especially if the villain's the local governor. Who knows? He could be. Nearby window would hide you from a few of the guards. Inside that window could be a guard uniform hanging out to dry on a clothesline. It can make a great disguise. One of the guards drops his loaded pistol, which skitters across the roof. Very easily. Coming up towards you. Maybe you should shoot him with it. Creating opportunities. You use your own raises to create opportunities for other heroes. Spend 1 raise to create an opportunity for another hero to use in the scene. Other heroes must spend a raise of their own to take advantage of the opportunity you created. Opportunities are narrative permission slips. They give you the chance to do something that you otherwise couldn't have done, typically because the situation just didn't allow it. You are fighting a guard who is holding your friends captive in the local jail. You could spend a raise to create an opportunity for one of your heroic companions, saying that you knock the gun out of his hand and the pistol skitters across the floor, sliding between the bars of the jail cell holding your friends prisoner. One of them can now spend a raise to pick up the pistol, arming themselves in a situation that otherwise wouldn't have permitted it. All of the opportunities you create should emerge naturally from the scene. Can't spend a raise to make a dinosaur appear, unfortunately. As much as I would love to do that, you can't do it. Krakens, on the other hand. As long as you have a way to summon that Kraken, you can do it. Same goes for opportunities that don't make any sense or otherwise aren't fun, such as, yeah, I create an opportunity for that guy over there to shoot my friend and kill him. Don't do that. It's not fun. Don't do that. Right, Zaid? It's not fun.
Definitely.
Yeah. Make it interesting. Don't make it...
Would definitely never kill me.
Definitely not. Make it interesting. Don't make it ludicrous. Okay. Continuing on to Flare. Whenever a hero makes a risk, they are encouraged to vary their tactics and to give it interesting, heroic, cool descriptions of their actions. Every time you use a unique skill, you gain 1 bonus die, skill that you just have not used before in the scene. So if the scene just started and you attack with your sword, you gain a bonus die. If you then choose to defend yourself by jumping out a window, using your athletics, you gain a bonus die. If you then punch someone in the face with Brawl, you gain 1 bonus die. Make sure your actions are varied pretty much. You get bonuses for doing it. For example, in this little blurb here, how are you getting past that last guard? I guess I'll hit him. Wait, I already did that. How about trying to scare him off? I already knocked out all the other guards. I would say sounds great. He's probably already scared. Take a bonus die for using Intimidate for the first time this scene. Give a description of your action. Make a clever quip before you roll. Interact with the scenery. Add to the scene. You get a bonus die. Description does not have to be something incredibly in-depth. Anything more than I'm going to use my sword skill should be rewarded. I go for my sword immediately and charge with a loud battle cry. Love that. Do that. Get your bonus. Do it, Zaid. Give me a battle cry.
Bro.
Have a bonus die.
I can't scream too loudly. That's what kill me.
Have the bonus die anyways.
Wait, if I scream very loudly in combat, do I get a bonus die?
As long as you...
For no reason.
I would say no, not typically, but as long as you give me good descriptions, I give you a bonus die.
I get bonus die for doing grand speeches.
As long as you make it short enough that it's more of a description.
Okay, descriptive. Got it.
Yep, descriptive. And as long as you keep using new skills, you get 2 bonus die.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Make sure you start stocking up on D10s. Pretty much. Yeah. If you haven't noticed, you start rolling a lot at the end of action sequences.
Yeah.
Heroes or villains use skills to coerce, lure, or seduce, or influence another character's actions. This is called pressure. When a hero or villain applies pressure, they force their target to either act in a way that they choose or to spend an additional raise if they want to take a different action. First, the character applying pressure chooses a specific action. Attack me or run away are great examples. Next time the hero's target chooses to do anything other than the directed action, they must spend an additional raise. Pressure can be used in both action and dramatic sequences. Easiest way to create pressure is with convince, intimidate, tempt, and other similar skills. But creative players may find ways to use any skill to apply pressure. This little blurb right here, Annette Dubois spends a few moments speaking to the villainous Count. Annette's player tells the GM, I want to spend 1 race to seduce the Count. If he wants to pay close attention to anyone other than me, he has to pay 2 raises instead of 1. So long as the villainous Count spends raises paying attention to Annette, he pays the regular cost, usually 1 raise per action. But if he wants to spend raises on any action other than paying attention to Annette, he must spend 2. Once he spends those 2, he has broken the spell and may spend raises as normal. If someone has pressured a character, no one else can pressure the same character until the initial situation has resolved. If another hero wants to try to seduce the Count, for example, he will have to wait until the Count has broken Annette's spell by spending 2 raises to do something besides pay attention to Annette. Villains can apply the same pressure to all heroes in a scene with a single raise and a danger point. Another reason why you should always sell your excess die to me. Yeah, so I can apply all of the pressure. Villains can apply the same pressure to all heroes in a scene with a single raise and a danger point. Make sure to sell your excess die to me. I want all the danger points.
Okay, so all I'm hearing is do not sell your dice.
If you want the hero points, it's the easiest way to do it. Villain could use pressure to say all of you will run away, or all of you will attack me, or all of you will save that helpless victim. All I need to do is spend a raise and a danger point, otherwise villains use pressure normally. Yep, so I can use pressure normally against 1, or pressure against all with a danger point. And here is the hero points and danger pool. Hero points, gaining them. Hero gains a hero point when either he or she or the GM activates Hero's Hubris. They choose to say my hero fails, in which case the player does not roll dice and cannot spend raises to overcome consequences or produce other effects. Your hero acts in a way as described by their quirks. A player can only earn 1 hero point per session per quirk. So, Zaid, what are your quirks?
Where do I find that?
It's on your character sheet.
Is there Arcana?
Nope. Quirks, quirks, quirks.
It is not on my sheet.
It's not on your sheet. Don't know why it's not on your sheet. It should be on your sheet. Hold on. There it is. 7-9. Where is quirks? Quirks, quirks, quirks. Making a hero. 163, I think. Quirks. Where are quirks? Those are advantages, skills, backgrounds. Quirks are in your background.
My background?
Yep, your backgrounds. You're a Vestin, right?
I have aristocrat and naval officer.
Aristocrat and naval officer.
What works with that?
Naval officer earn a hero point when you put the needs of the crew ahead of the needs of the mission.
Yes.
And
on that aristocrat, I earn a hero point when you prove that there is more to nobility than expensive clothes and attending work.
yes. So when you started cheering on the crew type stuff, I would have given you a hero point.
Wait, I would have what?
When you started cheering on the crew type stuff, when you did that round of just warfare and spending your raises to create opportunities for the crew, that would have been stuff there. Yep. Nope, that's action sequences. I am here. Gaining hero points. I just did quirks. The GM buys any unused dice that aren't part of a raise for each die the GM chooses to buy in this faction. Okay, I think it's more I choose to buy instead of you choose to sell. But
Okay.
I'll typically do a mostly you choose to sell. Using hero points, players may use hero points for the following benefits. Add 1 bonus d10 to his roll before a risk. A player may spend multiple hero points in this fashion on a single risk. Remember that. Add 3 bonus d10s to another hero's roll before a risk. Remember that one. Always helpful. This represents the first hero helping the second in some way, even if it is only moral support. A hero can only accept help from one other hero at a time. Activate a special ability on your hero sheet. A player may spend multiple hero points on different special abilities on a single risk. Take an action while helpless. A player may spend multiple raises on this action just as if they were not helpless. See page 181 for more on becoming helpless. We will do that very soon. Using danger points. GM may use danger points from her pool to increase the total need for a raise by 5. Add 2 dice to any villain's die pool. Activate a Brute Squad special ability. activate a villain special ability, or murder. If you become helpless, a villain can spend a danger point to murder that character. This is where you will spend a hero point to prevent that. I can spend multiple danger points to add multiple dice to a villain's die pool, but can't do anything else with multiple. Action sequence. Ask Zaid. He doesn't understand anything at all either. It's all good, right, Zaid?
Yeah.
Approach. Again, that's just tell me what you want.
What did I say? Yeah.
That you didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah.
Approach. Tell me what you want. For example, this is where you would tell me all the approaches that get you the extra die. Like, I give a speech to my crew just before we exit and start the fight. This is where you would say that, and I would say, okay, what type of speech? You would give me a decent description of the speech. I would say either Warfare or Convince, and because you used a new skill, and you gave me a good description of it, you get 2 bonus die. Consequences and opportunities. After hearing approaches, GM tells everyone what the consequences and opportunities are, if any. When those consequences or opportunities occur, some opportunities and consequences have time limits. Pretty much when everyone has a certain number of raises or less. Roll and raises. All players roll at the same time and count their raises and tell me what you rolled. We're doing text, so pretty much when I tell you to roll, you just roll and count your raises and send it to me. I am going to pause here real quick and take a little time. I'm back. Using multiple raises for a single action? Nope. Hello, I'm back.
I switched mic. I think this one is better.
Sounds a bit better.
Yes.
Actions, that's where we are at. Player with the most raises describes his hero's action and spends 1 or more raises on that action. In addition to normal actions, he might also spend raises to overcome a consequence, take advantage of an opportunity, create opportunities, or inflict wounds on another character. More raises you spend on the action, the bigger the effect. After the first action resolves, the character with the most raises at this point takes the next action. Could be the same character, or it could be another character. Whoever it is, the character with the most raises always takes the next action. If 2 heroes are tied, they decide which of them goes next. Villains always go first when tied with heroes. Villains are aggressive, they move quickly to get what they want. End of story. If it's tied, villain goes first. Even if it's tied with 4 or 5 heroes, villain goes first, heroes decide after. End of round. When a player is out of raises, his hero can no longer take actions during the round. He must wait until all players spend all their raises for actions. This rule also applies to villains. If a villain has no raises, they cannot take an action during the round. When everyone's out of raises, GM me determines if an action sequence is still necessary. Does everyone think an action sequence is still necessary? If so, the action sequence continues. We go back to step 1 and go through the steps again. If the players have resolved the scene, the action sequence is over. Now, talking about time limits. Some consequences and opportunities have time limits. Players have a limited amount of time to overcome the consequences or take advantage of the opportunity. After the time passes, heroes no longer have the option to jump on it. That's unfortunate. Again, burning room. If you take too long, the papers are gonna be gone, and you won't be able to blackmail anyone. this example, you need to get off this burning ship before the powder room explodes. Powder room will explode at 2 raises, and everyone takes 5 wounds. That means as soon as all of the heroes have fewer than 2 raises, the powder room explodes and everyone takes 5 wounds. You cannot, that is not a consequence that you can take wounds away from. You can just use your raises to dampen your amount of wounds. So if you had 2 raises and it explodes, you can use your 2 raises to only take 3 wounds instead of 5. Another example could be a priceless necklace slipping across an angled roof. If the heroes don't grab it by raise 3, it falls off into the night, down onto the city streets, into the fire, or into the ocean. I can set more than one time limit. Cannons blow, explode on raise 3, everyone will take 3 wounds. On raise 1, the ship goes down, dragging you all down into the deep. That would mean you're all dead. If not everyone is away. Yes. Just another way to create suspense. It has to be narrative based. And it's not fun if I decide, yeah, ship's sinking all of a sudden. You ran aground, even though there's no ground. You ran into a coral reef that reaches all the way up from the sea bottom to your ship, and now the ship is sinking. Yeah, that's no fun. I can't do that. Yep. Opportunities and consequences must have raises devoted to them before they occur in order for a hero to take advantage of them or to overcome them. For example, if the room ceiling will collapse on 2, a hero who wishes to dive out of the way must spend raises to do so before the ceiling collapses. If a hero acts on the same action as an opportunity or consequence occurs, you can still overcome the consequence or the opportunity. It might snatch the burning letter out of the fire at the last possible moment, or dive out of the way as the ceiling collapses right on her heels. Very dramatic. So pretty much you go first compared to consequences or opportunities. So in turn order, it would go villain, heroes, consequence, or opportunities if everyone was tied.
Okay.
Yep. Using multiple raises for a single action. When a player announces an action for an action sequence, spend 1 raise to accomplish that action. Could be to overcome the risk, negate a consequence, or take advantage of an opportunity, or perhaps take care of some other danger that has come up during the action sequence. You may choose to spend more than 1 raise on an action. Tells you if the consequence for running across the room in front of the villain's musketeers will cause you 3 wounds. You can spend up to 3 raises to negate those wounds, but if you choose to spend less than 3 raises, you cannot spend more raises on later actions to negate the remaining wounds. Sometimes 2 heroes or a hero and a villain will want the same thing, or they will each have an action that runs counter to the other. Whoever spends the most on their action gets it, to the exclusion of all others. However, raises spent to overcome the risk must be spent in a single action. You can't spend 1 raise to make your action, then decide to spend the second one to reinforce it later. It's all or nothing. So pretty much when we're doing text stuff, it would be like a rock, paper, scissors type thing. We don't make sure that it is hidden in Discord, the spoiler market, and wait until the other person has posted or post right after. At that point, you put yours in, and then you can see who won it. Just make sure that you mark it as the amount of raises that you're spending on the action. Wounds and dramatic wounds. Wounds represent physical injuries, albeit minor ones. Dramatic wounds are much more serious and obvious. As your hero takes wounds and dramatic wounds, she gains bonuses. Yes, that's right. More injured your hero becomes, the more awesome she becomes. It's the McLean effect. How do you injure other characters, and what happens when your hero becomes injured? Causing wounds is a risk. You declare your approach, gather dice, and make raises. Spend 1 die spend 1 raise to cause your opponent 1 wound. May spend additional raises to cause additional wounds, 1 wound per raise. Avoiding wounds. When you face a villain or hero in combat, may spend raises to inflict wounds on your hero outside of a consequence. You can avoid these wounds by immediately spending raises 1 for 1 outside of normal action order. So pretty much I say I'm going to spend 2 raises to inflict 2 wounds to your character. You can say I spend 2 or 1 right then to deflect it. Firearms. A pistol or musket in the hands of a hero or villain represents serious danger. Firearms are relatively easy to use and their effects are devastating. Brute squads of force only inflict their normal damage no matter what weapons they are using. So anyone shot by a firearm by a hero or villain takes 1 dramatic wound in addition to all other normal effects. If you shoot another character using 2 raises, that character takes 2 wounds and 1 dramatic wound. Got it. That's what I was missing. Target cannot use raises to negate the dramatic wound from a firearm. You might be able to minimize the damage, but you can't dodge a bullet. A gun takes 5 raises to reload, however. That means any villain or hero who uses a firearm has to spend 5 raises, either in the same action or over the course of several actions and rounds, to reload a gun. Bad news, guns are getting better. Marking wounds. When your hero takes injuries, they are reflected on your hero sheet as wounds and dramatic wounds. Bubbles represent wounds, stars dramatic wounds. When your hero takes wounds, fill in a number of bubbles on the death spiral equal to the wounds they took. If your hero takes 1 wound, you fill in 1. If your hero takes 2, you fill in 2. Keep going, fill in a bubble for each wound your hero takes. Wounds aren't too serious, but when filling in bubbles, if you ever fill in 1 to star, your hero takes a dramatic wound. Now, make sure it's dramatic. Put on the entire stage works. For example, if you take 3 wounds and the second one is a star, you've taken the dramatic wound. Keep filling in bubbles and stars until you've taken the total number of wounds from the injury. Dramatic wounds increase the tension of an action sequence. This isn't always bad for the heroes. Dramatic wounds keep you focused, remind you of what's important, and push you to dig deep inside yourself for those inner reserves of strength. Remember, it's not the friends of the anime hero, it's the wounds he's taken. Just remember that.
Of course.
Yes. Hero with 1 or more dramatic wounds gains 1 bonus die on all risks. Yay! Hero with 2 or more grants 2 bonus die to any villain who rolls a risk against them. Boo! Hero with 3 wounds has exploding 10s on all risks. This means that if you roll a 10, you immediately add another d10 to your roll. Yay! Hero with 4 dramatic wounds is helpless. Oh no. Helpless should be coming up very soon. There it is, right there. Taking another hero's wounds. Before another character takes wounds, you can use your own raises to take the wounds instead. This is jumping in the way of the injury. Player may offer to do this out of order, in other words, when it isn't her turn to spend raises. Make sure to remember that.
I'll try.
Yep, be sure to explain how you do this in dramatically appropriate fashion. Leaping in front of your friend, taking the sword thrust at the last moment, dropping down from a balcony above and landing on the enemy to distract him but suffering an injury in the fall. Or calling on your last ounce of strength and rushing across a crowded ballroom, pushing people out of the way to jump onto the podium and grab the chandelier chain before the chandelier hits your friend. They add drama to the scene and also explain how your character managed the feat, which is important because you may sometimes be in a scene where no opportunity presents itself for you to make such a sacrifice. Just remember, you can always take another hero's wounds. Another thing to remember. Healing wounds. At the end of a scene when the heroes have a few minutes to catch their breath and regroup, all wounds are healed. Dramatic wounds remain until the end of the episode or until heroes manage to deal with them through the course of play. Mundane healing, such as visiting a doctor, isn't an instant cure-all and doesn't come cheap, costing 1 wealth and several hours of uninterrupted treatment to heal 1 dramatic wound. that ship doctor that you have, he's good. He's not magical, though. Magical healing is rare and cannot be purchased. Not with coin, at least.
Good stuff.
Yep. And it turns out that, nope, the wounds just keep stacking up. Dramatic wounds are just stuff that can stack separately. So I got that bit wrong as well.
Okay, so don't get them. Got
it. Don't get dramatic wounds. You can still get shot and all that, but they are separate. Most heroes can only take 4 dramatic wounds, although some advantages of their abilities allow some heroes to take more. Once your hero takes the maximum number of dramatic wounds they can take, your hero is helpless. A helpless character is prone and cannot get to their feet. A helpless character can still roll die, but must spend a hero point to take an action. If the hero wants to take more than one action, they must spend multiple hero points. I may kill a helpless hero by spending a danger point and announcing murderous intent as my action. I won't do this very often, but it is always a possibility. It will not be anytime soon when I do so, however. In response to a villain announcing murderous intent, any hero can spend all of their raises to save the helpless hero. They may take this action even if it is not their turn. The player describes how they reach the victim and stops the murder. Helpless character is now safe for the rest of the scene, or until their savior becomes helpless as well. No villain can attempt to murder another villain against that hero. If a villain attempts a murder outside an action sequence, a hero can still spend a hero point to stop the murder, but it's the only action you can take. So that burning ship, that's going to go down and take you. A villain started that, but it's the only action I could take to start the murder. Yep. I fail. Yep. What was that? Now, I fail, and we mentioned this under hero points, but it's worth bringing up again. Before any roll, a player can announce, I fail. This means the hero fails to overcome the risk and suffers all the consequences and misses all the opportunities. You never roll die, you have no raises, but you get a hero point and describe how your hero fails. If your hero is assaulted by a brute squad, your player could say they capture me. I then give you a hero point and you are taken, which is sometimes a good thing. Another example, player wants to leap from rooftop to rooftop. Player points to her hero sheet and says she doesn't make the jump. I ask what happens, and then you describe your hero falling a little short, grabbing the edge, losing the grip, falling on the balcony railing, bouncing off that, falling through a cloth awning, and slamming hard onto the ground. You get a hero point and narrating the outcome. It adds tension, drama. It's always good to have. There is no dodge scale. We don't want any player to ever say dodge. I don't either. It's boring. It is very boring. Explain how your character avoids getting hit. Don't just say dodge. Cut the rope holding the chandelier and swing up onto the roof. Jump under your enemy's blade so you are standing behind him. Kick the candelabra's hot wax into your enemy's eyes as they thrust their sword toward you. Don't just say, I dodge. That maintains the status quo. Success in that case means nothing changed. Instead, use your action to change the circumstance of the scene. Throw a table at them. Kick a puppy, whatever. Just do something. Don't be passive. Don't use your raise to just say no. Use your raise to take action. The only time when you want to just dodge is when you're trying to occupy someone. But when you do describe it, you're trying to stop them from getting so. Maybe you're dodging and throwing stuff at them. Who knows? That's an example of the action sequence. Dramatic sequences, like action, but they're less fighty and more burning building, and you're rescuing little children from the burning orphanage.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay, Brute Squads. I'm going to tell you about what Brute Squads are. Brute Squads that has only one statistic, which is strength. It's the number of individuals in the squad. Squad of 5 soldiers has strength 5. Squad of 8, strength 8. Squad of 10, strength 10. Heroes announce their response to meeting the Brute Squad: run away, hide, attack, generally any other thing they want to do. Whatever you want to do to a Brute Squad, you can do it. They are mooks, they do nothing, they're the thumbs in the movie. Gather die. Players use the raises to take actions against the Brute Squad, decreasing the strength of the Brute Squad. Each raise reduces the squad's strength by 1. When you deal damage, you're taking people away. Again, Brute Squads are easy, just sort of like swing your sword, you killed someone in a Brute Squad. Brute Squad has not been reduced to 0. They get to attack the heroes. Brute Squad delivers a number of wounds equal to its current strength. The Strength 8 Brute Squad has been reduced to Strength 3. The hero facing the squad takes 3 wounds. Multiple heroes are facing multiple squads. I decide which squads attack which heroes. A squad must deal all of its damage to a single hero. The Brute Squad may decide to continue its assault. It may also choose to surrender. Probably not, but hey, you can hope. They're most likely not going to surrender. They're getting paid not very well, and they're being mostly threatened. A Brute Squad may choose this opportunity to reorganize themselves. Strength 5 and Strength 3 could choose to combine, or Strength 10 could choose to break into Strength 5. Brute Squads during action sequence attack heroes. For example, on a ship during a storm, a group of pirates climb over the side and begin taking over the ship. You have to deal with consequences. You must spend a raise to avoid being blown off the ship by the storm. More than one Brute Squad can show up at a time. Duelists can dispatch Brute Squads very quickly, and clever players can find ways to deal with them in other ways. Be clever. Be creative. Special Brute Squads come in different flavors. Assassin, Guard, Pirate, you name it, I can have it. Not all Brute Squads have a type, but those that do have an ability. I'm not going to tell you what the abilities are, but they do have an ability. That's all stuff for me. Monsters is me. Stories is me. Sorcery. That's all stuff we've already gone over as well. So there it is.